life. It's just the same thing over and over. You'll wake up in the morning, you put your pants on, most of us anyway. You brush your teeth, most of us anyway. You walk out the door, you drive to work, you sit in traffic on the way, you turn on the boring radio and listen to it. Maybe you have a cup of coffee just to get you in the mood to continue living. And it's not even 9 a.m. You get to work, you do the same thing every day over and over. You come home, blah, blah, blah. Life is boring for most people. Now, if you are one of those few people with a job that you love so much that you are content and fulfilled and happy, congratulations. For the rest of us, it's drudgery. Life is boring, and there's a reason why. It's because we didn't get to decide it. Someone else decided for us. Someone else told us what the best way of succeeding is in life. Someone else told us what steps we have to take, what our progression is through life. They told us what our goals were going to be. They told us that these goals were objectively the most optimal way to live. Now, if you don't quite get this, think about it. We get these messages constantly from everywhere in the real world. The best schools to go to, the best jobs to shoot for, the best car to drive, the best neighborhood to live in, the best company to work for, the best investment plan for your future, the best retirement age, the best state to live in, the best schools for our children, the best food to eat, the best TV shows to watch, the best old folks home for our children to put us in, and the fanciest coffin to be buried in. And behind all of these messages is the implicit assumption that these are objective truths, that all of these bests in life are the best, period. Someone else told us what the best goals in life are, and we assume that these goals are somehow objectively the best. Sure, these people who give us these messages, they have a rationale for their claims. Oftentimes, they'll even cite scientific studies to support it. They'll say people are happier when they're making this much money, or when their commute is this long, or these types of jobs will make you more content with your life. This car will make you feel more powerful. So we, to the extent that we're able, we adopt these goals and we follow the path in our lives that is predetermined for us. We get to pick elements of our life off the menu that someone else has written, and that's why life is boring. This is such a strong assumption, this idea that there are objectively best ways to live your life, that it shows up as a theme in our literature, our cinema, every other creative art in our society. And often a work of fiction will take that theme one step further. This idea that we're just going through the motions of what other people are telling us to do. And this work of fiction will tell a story about someone who questions these foundational assumptions of life. And oftentimes, that protagonist will break free from his shackles of conformity. He'll break free from those who wish to keep him working in the same old boring drudgery day after day, all for the sake of efficiency and productivity. Now, this work of fiction could be silly and innocuous, like a movie called The Yes Man, where a guy finds himself compelled to do everything that someone suggests he do. He can't say no to anything until he finally understands that, ironically, life is supposed to be about more than merely following society's plan for you. Sometimes this work of fiction can be a mythically serious, high-stakes action-adventure like The Matrix, where the protagonist begins to question his reality, only to be awakened to the reality that there is an unseen force controlling every aspect of our existence. Now, unlike Jim Carrey in The Yes Man, who's forced to rebel against the norms of society, Keanu's given a choice. Go back to your boring life, repeating the same things day after day, or wake up to the reality that there is more to the world than meets the eye. We all know which path he chooses, and if you haven't seen the movie yet, I don't think it's spoiling anything to say that he chooses the power fantasy. That's right, and it wouldn't be a very fun movie if he hadn't. Now, there are lots of ways to interpret the broader allegory of that movie, but one that has not escaped most of us is how The Matrix plays out very much like a video game. It could be that Neo is merely getting very immersed in the latest title he rented from GameFly, and the rest of the movie is his adventure through that game. After all, how many of us do this very thing? We use video games as a way to unwind and escape from the drudgery of our daily grind in the real world. Video games allow us to have total control over our destiny, an option that, despite what all the motivational speakers tell us, just isn't available to the vast majority of us in the real world. Now, as we're playing our video game to escape this boring existence of reality, what if someone came along to ruin this fantasy for us? What if someone told us that, despite us having a million options for enjoying our power fantasy in this video game, that there really is only one way for us to efficiently exercise our powers? That there is an objective best way to engage with our very personal, subjective experience of a video game? That there's only one way of truly enjoying the video game, that enjoyment itself can be objectively measured? I think most of us would have largely the same response to that. And the only difference between your response and mine would be to what degree and how quickly that interloper should go fuck himself. But that's not what we do, is it? We're nicer than that. Sometimes too nice. For some of us, when somebody comes along and tells us there's an objectively better way to play the game, we politely say, "Thanks for your input. I'm going to keep playing how I want." For other people, it's not so simple. Some of us actually believe this guy. We say, "Oh, really? Show me more. I want to experience the best power fantasy imaginable." And then we listen to him and we're told exactly how to play the game, down to the very buttons we should be pressing and in which order. And it's a very limited set of options we have when we follow his advice. 99% of the game is now off limits, because those parts of the game aren't objectively optimal. We stick to that 1% that is prescribed to us, and guess where we end up? That's right, back to the drudgery that we were trying to escape from in the first place. Repeating the same old tired actions hour after hour, day after day, chasing a dream and a promise that will never come true. And now, even our power fantasy is ruined. But why, though? If there really is an objectively optimal way to play the game, then how can it end up so repetitive and boring? Wouldn't this objectively optimal way of experiencing this power fantasy, by definition, lead to the most satisfaction and the greatest reward? If the point of the game is to enjoy yourself, to escape the mundane toil and busy work of reality, then surely the method that brings you the greatest pleasure and personal satisfaction would be the optimal way to play the game, right? No, they say, it's not. There's only one way that you can objectively optimize this game, and it has literally nothing to do with your enjoyment and satisfaction. The way to optimize this game, we're told, is to pretend that we are perfect, that we can execute every possible action with precision and accuracy. In short, in order to optimize our power fantasy, we have to have a power fantasy about our power fantasy. We have to pretend to be a better player than we are. And then, once we've imagined this, we must play the game the way that we would if we were that good. But that's not all, is it? No, they also require us to work toward being that good. Work, practice, improve. Keep failing every day until you're good enough to succeed. Does that sound familiar to you? It should, because that's the message we hear every single day. In our real lives, keep plugging away until you have enough experience and until some external authority deems you fit to receive a reward for your hard work. A certificate, a degree, a raise, a promotion, a loan, a new house, a retirement package, a membership to the country club, a comfortable bed to die in, and a deep grave to be buried in. And just like in real life, where most of us will only achieve a few of these rewards, and none of us are going to become that perfectly expert human being, neither are we going to become the perfect video game player. We will never achieve the perfection required for a no-hit run. But the interlopers tell us that we must, nonetheless, work toward that ideal if we want to play optimally. We don't, after all, have to work toward this perfection. They readily give us permission to be, in their eyes, mediocre, to be complacent, to be a meme, to be simply suboptimal. And this is our choice and our fault that we are less than, because they tell us anyone can do it with a bit of effort. If we don't, then it's because we're just not trying hard enough. If we work toward their unattainable ideal of perfection, we are consumed by disappointment when we fail. If we choose to play the game another way, we're branded inferior and lazy. Either way, to these people, we're all losers. Then we begin to question ourselves. We experience extreme cognitive dissonance between our desire to simply enjoy a video game and the idea that we aren't enjoying it properly. And so the power fantasy is ruined. The game is spoiled. We can't play it anymore without feeling like we're doing it wrong. So we move on to something else. We all took the red pill, and these people came along and forced us to eat the blue pill anyway. Now, what if I told you that you could crap that blue pill out like the bullshit that it is and regain your sense of fantasy and escapism? That you could actually enjoy your video game again without feeling guilt or shame in the process. It's a pretty easy thing to do. All you have to do is accept the fact that their justification for what they consider optimal play is based on a deception. In fact, it's based on an outright lie. And I have proof.